Windows Observer was born 19 years ago this month. Little did I know that all the blogging, the podcast, and my social media activities would result in me having the experience of a lifetime. A few years ago, NASA began an outreach effort to increase the conversation around the agency's activities, with an early focus on shuttle launches. I was luckily selected to attend the launch of Atlantis on STS-132 in May of 2010, and what an adventure it was. When I arrived, I immediately saw famous landmarks such as the VAB and the famous countdown clock with my very own eyes. I even saw Atlantis on her pad off in the distance. Inside a tent specially set up for the 150 attendees, we could keep an eye on launch preps via NASA TV. We had tables, power, and Wi-Fi so that we could share our experience on social media. We then enjoyed up-close and personal talks from some of NASA's finest. We heard from astronaut Janice Voss, Bobby Braun, NASA's chief technologist, from Juan Ruiz, who is in charge of suits for astronauts from Mercury until shuttle, Stephanie Stiltson, who manages Discovery every time she comes back to Earth for another flight. And our final speaker, John Coward, reminded us that what NASA does isn't easy. Then we were off in NASA buses to tour areas of the Kennedy Space Center that mere mortals may have never tread before. We saw artifacts, we saw historical locations, we saw aircraft that the astronauts used to get to and from Texas. We saw the International Space Station Processing Center, where materials were being readied for launch on a future shuttle mission to support the astronauts in orbit. The final stop of our day was at Launch Pad 39 Alpha, where we watched Atlantis be unveiled in preparation for her flight the next day. It was an experience and a sight many of us had never had before, and I know many of us will never forget. You quickly made friends amongst the 150 attendees that would last for the remainder of our lives. The next day we returned in preparation for launch, and you knew things were different. The Space Center was buzzing with activity. The countdown was continuing, and we were ready for launch. There were more people. There were more reporters. There was more activity at the press site, with the news relaying the facts of what was going on and sharing with the public the upcoming launch of Shuttle Atlantis. We also had more talks that day as we waited for launch. We heard from NASA's Deputy Administrator, Lori Carver, we heard from astronaut Dave Wolf, and our final guest of the day just had come from the launch pad, closing the door on Shuttle Atlantis for this launch. Chris Meinert has been closing the door on shuttles for over 20 years, and he's one of the last people that they see before they leave. And then it was time to man the cameras and watch Shuttle Atlantis take off in the distance. But these pictures simply do not do a launch justice. Watch, listen, and enjoy launch of Atlantis on STS-132.
Oh, there she goes. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Go, Atlantis.
Whoa.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my God. Oh my God.